Great big welcome to you as we gather as God's people on this first Sunday of Christmas. Hope you all had a good Christmas. I know some of you are here in your respective homes, probably still in your jammies and sipping your coffee, and we're glad you're with us, and some will be in the church. But as I remind you each week, together, we are God's church, and I'm thankful for each and every one of you. A little bit about the service today. Jesus is now suddenly 12 years old. Here he was just born, and now he's suddenly 12. And we get to see a little bit of a glimpse of his life. Don't have a lot of Jesus as a child. And here we see him with his family. And he is misplaced, I guess is the word to use. And the parents have to seek him out and find him. And so I hope the message and service today is meaningful for you. And I hope that reminds us of the gift that we have of families. As we look at Jesus' family, is reminded of our own. As we give thanks to God, as we come to the close of a year and are about to start a new one. I am grateful for all of our families. I'm grateful for my own family, and I am especially grateful for the Grace family. And so God's richest blessings to all of you. We'll go ahead and begin the service now in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. And let me begin with a word of prayer. So Lord, as we begin this new year, about to begin the new year, I should say, and close out the old, Lord, just thank you for your faithfulness in our lives. Thank you for your hand upon us. Thank you for your Spirit within us. And Lord, we pray that you continue to guide and direct us as we enter this new year, as we continue to place our trust in our lives in you. Lord, as we get a glimpse of Jesus' own family, as a reminder of our own families, Lord, thank you for the gift of families, for the families of biological families, as well as the Grace family, families of friends, of people who we're all close to and have been gifted with. Lord, these are treasures that I hope we don't take for granted. And so, Lord, be with us now as we move forward in our lives, as we move forward in this service. And we pray all this in your holy and precious name. Amen.
Hey, hon, what's the matter? You look really stressed. Is there anything I can help you with?
I don't know, hon. There's just so much to do. We have to wrap all these gifts, and it's only a couple more days until Christmas. We have to take care of Moose, Lynx, everything. There's just so much going on, and I'm feeling really overwhelmed, and I just don't know what the point of any of this is anymore. I mean, is there anybody out there that can tell me the true meaning of Christmas?
My friends will tell you.
In those days, a decree went out from Emperor Augustus that all the world should be registered. This was the first registration and was taken while Quirinius was governor of Syria. All went to their own towns to be registered.
Joseph also went from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to the city of David called Bethlehem, because he was descended from the house and family of David. He went to be registered with Mary, to whom he was engaged, and who was expecting a child.
While they were there, the time came for her to deliver her child. And she gave birth to her firstborn son, and wrapped him in bands of cloth, and laid him in a manger, because there was no place for them in the inn.
And there were in the same country shepherds abiding in their field, keeping watch over the flock by night. And lo, the angel of the Lord came upon them, and the glory of the Lord shone round about them. And they were sore afraid, and the angel said unto them,
Fear not, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. And this shall be a sign to you. You shall find the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger.
And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host, praising God and saying,
Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward men.
Miss Taylor, that's the true meaning of Christmas.
Thank you so much, Sean. You and your friends are right. Jesus is the reason why we are here this Christmas season. He is our gift. And I am so thankful for that. Thank you so much for reminding me. I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas. From our family to yours, Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas! Mwah.
And so grace and peace to you from God our Father and from our Lord and Savior Jesus the Christ. Amen. And so let us pray. Lord, we thank you as we gather as your people, yes, some still in their respective homes and some in the church. But Lord, together we continue to be your church. Lord, as we finish off this year and about to enter into a new one, come, O Lord, come and fill our hearts and our lives, that they truly would overflow. Pray now that the words of my mouth and the meditations of our hearts be pleasing in your sight. In this I pray. Amen. Well, we just finished celebrating Christmas, didn't we? And now in a few days, can you believe it? We're about to enter into a brand new year of 2022. So let me ask, has anyone made their New Year's resolutions yet for this new year? I know the Weight Watchers and the Nutrisystems and all those other diet plans, I know it's their biggest months in January. And if you're not into dieting, then maybe some have resolved to pursue an exercise program. I heard of one fellow who says he doesn't believe in exercise. He says if God meant for us to touch our toes, God would have put them farther up our body. Another man said that his doctor suggested to try running in place. The man asked, in place of what? I don't know where your focus is for this new year. And maybe your weight or some habit you'd like to get rid of. Each of us has our own need, which we bring to God as we are about to begin this new year. Our gospel lesson for the day would have us focus on relationships especially within the family. And our story is about the time that Mary and Joseph, let's just say, misplaced Jesus. And I know as a parent, it must have been embarrassing as well as frustrating. You see, they're on their way home from visiting the temple in Jerusalem for the Passover celebration. And they were among a large crowd of pilgrims that were traveling together, like in a caravan. My guess is that they thought Jesus was with the other children. They're probably unnerved to realize that somehow he had been left behind. Have you ever had anything like that happen in your own family? It's amazing that it doesn't happen more, with both moms and dads having such hectic schedules and then trying to get children to ball practices and music lessons and all those other extracurricular activities that seem to be priorities in today's world. Well, Mary and Joseph, they hurried back to the holy city. And 3 days later, they found their bright 12-year-old son. Where was he? He was in the temple and in deep discussions with the rabbis. Did you not know, Jesus said, that I must be about my Father's business? So let's start here by noting something that's very clear, that Jesus was a good kid. And I know what you're thinking. How absurd to say that. Of course Jesus was a good kid. He was God's own son. True, but you and I were not Gnostics. Gnostics believe that Jesus didn't really become a human being. He was more like a ghost who simply flitted down, lived among us for a while, and then he went back up to be with God. The writers of the New Testament go to great pains to emphasize that Jesus was a real person. He was a human being. And when he came into the world, he totally emptied himself of his unique divinity, and he became as we are, subject to all the temptations, all the heartaches, all the hurts that you and I are capable of. So we need to understand that Jesus was a real 12-year-old boy. There's a story about little Bobby who was picking up the toys which he had scattered about the room. Visiting pastor commended him for it. And the pastor pleasantly inquired and said, "Did your mother promise you something for picking them up?" Bobby replied, "No, sir, but she promised me something if I didn't." Did Mary ever have to discipline Jesus? I'm sure she did. Just like all loving parents are forced to discipline their children from time to time. That's just what we do as parents. So Jesus was a good kid, but he still was a kid. Now listen to what Luke tells us, even before Jesus' 12th birthday. He said, "And the child grew and became strong, filled with wisdom, and the favor of God was on him." Verse 40. And here's what Luke says about Jesus' teen years. He said, "And Jesus increased in wisdom and stature, and in favor with God and with man." Verse 51. Jesus was a good kid. And I have to say, we have some good kids around this church. Maybe we ought to take this time to tell our young people how proud that we really are of them. I know there are some of our youth in our congregation who are growing in favor with God and with their family and friends, and we are so thankful for them. But there's something else I think we need to see. Even good kids can drive a parent up the wall, yes? Well, and let's face it, Jesus was not the first nice young man to strike terror in his parents' hearts, and he most certainly will not be the last. I've heard it said that childhood is a time of rapid changes. Between the ages of 12 and 17, a parent can age 30 years. Someone else has said that in these times, the accent may be on youth, but the stress is on the parents. So true. I like the way one parent put it. Sound travels slowly. Sometimes the things you say when your kids are teenagers doesn't reach them until they're in their 40s. Some truth to that. And of course, some young people take longer to grow up than others. One comedian said, "Yep, my son is a typical American teenager. He's now 32. Even nice kids can drive a parent up a wall. Why? Because they have their own identities, their own dreams and aspirations. And sometimes those dreams clash with our dreams for them. And sometimes those dreams lead them into scary places. As someone has said, the best years of parenting are when your kids are old enough to wash your car, but too young to drive it. Every parent knows how difficult it is to ease up on the apron strings. Not because we don't trust our young people, but because there's so much out there in the world to fear. Jesus was at that age in Jewish life when a boy begins taking on some of the responsibilities of adulthood. He was not trying to hurt his parents by any means when he stayed behind at the temple. He was simply following his heart. And sometimes following your heart can pose some real problems for those who love you and for those who feel responsible for you. Every good kid can drive you crazy. But notice one last thing. The story, it has a happy ending. Mary and Joseph found Jesus in the temple, and he came back home with them. And Luke tells us that he grew in favor with God and with man. Why did the story have a happy ending? It's the same reason that the young people of this church will turn out to be fine, responsible adults. Jesus knew Mary and Joseph cared about him, and he knew that God loved him. This is a story of a family filled with love. They were devoted to one another and to God. And so that's my prayer for you, our families, and our friends here at Grace Church, that we be surrounded and filled with love and care and support. That we too thank God for our young people as we lift them up, as we pray for them, and as we support them. And so, Lord, as we reflect on Jesus' family of long ago, so we give thanks for our own families, past, present, and yes, even those that are still yet to come. Lord, give strength and wisdom, especially to parents. And may we be that community that is truly, truly filled with love, filled with care, and filled with support for one another. And I pray that it may be so. And all God's people said, Amen. God bless you. And so again, we want to thank you for joining us this day. We hope this service today has been helpful in your Christian journey. Please know our love and prayers are with each and every one of you. And again, if we can ever be of any help, do not hesitate to call us or email us at the church office. And so receive the benediction. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you his peace. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. And all God's people said, Amen. God bless you.